Hey, welcome to the FIREchat podcast. My name's Rich Rice, and today on the show I have Tiffany Dawson with me. Tiffany, say hi.
Hey, y'all.
So, on this podcast, we talk about financial independence through real estate primarily. We like to visit people's journeys and see where they're from, what got them interested into real estate, and what their journey moving forward is going to be like. So, welcome to the show, Tiffany. Let's start on. We'll make it easy. What is financial independence mean to you, and how did you kind of get to where you are right now?
Yeah, financial independence is really important for me. I always wanted to be in a position where I could control what I do with my life and my time, especially as a mother. That was something that kind of ramped me up to speed on getting more rentals to replace my income so that I could do something different. So just going all the way back, college, I lived at home. My mom wouldn't let me get an apartment. She was against paying rent. So I was like, okay, I'm going to graduate. And when I graduate, I'm going to buy something and move into it. And that's kind of how I got in a position to purchase my first property right out of college. I bought a condo. That's what we could afford at the time. And then kept it for a few years, got a house, rented the condo out. Fast forward to 2020. Obviously, equity was crazy then and rates were low. So we sold the condo and then we bought a couple properties and converted garages to ADUs and have been moving ever since.
Wow. Okay, so a couple things there. Most people would see oh, you sold it. Why? Never sell, right?
Yes. No, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I have a big rule around selling.
Okay.
For sure. So for me with condos, they always have HOAs. Our condo was built in 1979, so we needed a main plumbing refresh, the roofs. There were a lot of things taking place at the condo that would obviously increase our HOA or cause us to have special assessments, which if you're not familiar with that, that's basically where the expenses to repair are more than what they have in reserves, and they now hit you with a bill that you have to pay or help pay for the entire property. Yep. So I always wanted to get out of the condo, but the cash flow was really, really good. The big thing for me was just making sure if I sold the condo that we were buying something bigger and better. And that's where we switched to single family homes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you nailed it. I mean, if you can roll that, cash into something bigger, better, or other multiple units that are going to cash flow more.
Yes.
Then absolutely. But don't sell the place and just go buy a Bentley or something.
Absolutely not. It was so important for me. I was on go mode. I have to spend all this money because I didn't have any of it. It was all stuck in the house in equity. So I'm once I cashed out, I'm with my realtor, making sure we are spending every single dollar on something that's going to generate income for me. And I eventually quit my job.
On just selling it and then those next purchases. Yes. Awesome. Hell yeah. Good job.
I was like, oh, this is how you play Monopoly in real life.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I was excited because I couldn't believe that I really replaced my income. And my goal was to stop working a traditional job by the time my daughter was 5. She was only 3.5.
Even better.
So I was a year and a half ahead of schedule. And I was like, okay, I'm on to something. And really, it was just a matter of me being coachable and trusting the process and knowing that money is really made through real estate.
Yeah, for sure. Do you mind sharing some numbers with us as far as what you bought the condo for and then sold, and then what those next ones you bought look like?
Okay. So the condo we purchased in 2009 for $145, and the scary part is that that's right when the crash was happening. So we bought for $145, and as the months continued to go on, they went all the way down to $90,000.
Wow.
So of course, in Paramount, California. Okay. So when they went to 90, naysayers are always see, that's why you shouldn't have bought. That was a bad decision.
All the people come out.
Yeah. I was over here mad that we couldn't buy more. Because historically, real estate will continue to appreciate. Yes, there will be dips and times that are not in your favor, but long story short, you don't lose a thing if you don't sell. So
yeah, your losses.
I mean, it's
when you sell, right?
Yeah. So basically, we continued to pay the mortgage. We rented it out. Cash flowed really well. We were at a point where we could be cash flowing $1,000 a month. So when we made the decision to sell, I'm like, ooh, what if I don't get this $1,000 a month back?
And just to pause for a second, you were saying because it is a condo that, yes, your rents were going to go up, but in condos, your HOA
It can
It
increase.
can increase. Had you seen a lot of increases over since you owned it, or?
No, I was actually on the HOA board.
Oh, wow.
So we had decreases. Ironically, we started with $360 a month on the HOA, and we were able to lower it down to $280. But again, with those main plumbing, main sewer line issues, like it could have very well gone up. And I don't know what happened after the fact when we sold, but we had done a lot of improvements, but we were able to lower it.
So, because I'm just curious, like if you were a condo board, or in condos, like what'd you guys do? You just close the spa, or like?
No, actually, we just during COVID and all of, I'm not COVID, Lord have mercy. I'm in the wrong pandemic issue, whatever. So during the crash of 08, 09, a lot of people were impacted and couldn't pay their HOA every month, right? So now we have a lot of delinquent homeowners. And with that started to like really rack up. So my job on the HOA was to continue to push the vote forward and help people either make payment plans that they would follow through with, or we would have to move forward with putting the liens and then eventually foreclosing. That's really how we were able to, clean our books up and lower our HOA, because it's not fair to the people who are paying to be responsible.
Yeah, absolutely. Others. Yeah, I just never heard of it going the other way. So that's cool.
It was really, really nice. I was on the board a majority of the time that we owned.
Awesome.
I'm nosy.
I kind of derailed the story about sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was generally curious. I've never heard of it going the other way. So
yeah.
So you were about at that point where you're about $1,000 of cash flow a month, and then what?
So I looked into doing a cash out refi because I was really tied to the condo. That's our first property, and that's where we lived. So I was like, I don't want to sell it if I don't have to. So let me explore all the options. The cash flow was really good at $1,000 a month. And then I'm like, we have a good amount of equity. I think we owed like $110, and the property was valued at that time like at $385.
Nice.
So I'm like, all right, let me look into a cash out refi. Of course, they only let you go to a certain percentage. And with that, I didn't feel like the amount of cash we would take out would be big enough for me to keep it.
And how long had you had it at that point?
09 to 2020, so 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually they say the sweet spot is like 10 years on a property, and then it's just...
Generally, depending on when you bought it.
Yeah, depending on when you bought it, for sure. Because my COVID purchases are really nice.
Yep.
But yeah, so I decided, as hard as it was, that we would go ahead and sell it because I would walk away with close to $300,000.
Nice.
Yeah.
And tax purposes and stuff, it wasn't your primary. So
no.
So you were on the clock was ticking to.
We didn't even do a 1031. I didn't know what that was.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't
So
know
did
what
you
it
pay
was.
the
So we
tax on
paid the 13%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They took it directly out of escrow.
Hey.
Yeah. You live and you learn.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm here with you.
Yeah, exactly. So for 1031 purposes, we'll just pause for 1 second.
Yeah.
1031 is what allows you, it's an exchange that allows you, it's like an IRS tax law that allows you to sell an investment property and then reinvest the funds within a certain amount of time so that you don't have to pay taxes on it. If it was your primary, then you wouldn't have paid up to a certain amount.
Yes.
But hey, live and learn. It's okay. It sounds like you made it. You sounds like you people get stuck in the little things and the caveats or like that 13%, and then they won't do anything. So it really doesn't matter that you paid 13%. You still got to your goal, which still puts you a year and a half earlier than your original goal. So
yeah, to get out of the 9 to 5.
I mean, I paid taxes on certain things, for years because I wanted to prove income.
That too.
And people are like, but we'll go into that. We'll go into that in a second.
There's so many things that people don't want to pay for, but if you think about the flip side, is like, if you don't do it, how much are you costing yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I said, people would have sold and then like, oh my God, it's got a 1031 it, and I haven't done a 1031, but there are a lot of rules that go with the 1031. I don't know if you would have been able to buy multiple, because you said you sold and then bought multiple properties, right? So
and that's the thing. I haven't looked all the way into it, but as far as what we purchased, my general portfolio plan is to just purchase single families that have detached garages so that I'm able to convert them into additional units. So
awesome.
We looked at price points. Obviously, LA County is a tough one to break into. So I wanted to make sure that the amount of money we had would stretch the furthest. And we found that at the end of LA County in Antelope Valley is where we settled.
Up in Lancaster, Palmdale? Is that
Yeah,
it?
Lancaster. Palmdale is actually still a little too expensive for as many as I wanted to buy.
Gotcha. So you took your 300, went up to the desert, and what'd you buy?
So we bought 3 single family homes and converted 2 of the 3 garages. I still have one that I'm playing around with because I've seen on the market they've taken single family homes and made full on duplexes and made triplexes. So I don't know if I want to do a duplex with this last one or a triplex, which
So you're still
I'm leaning more
in
towards
the
that
middle
one.
of doing the last one.
I haven't done it yet. We just have a tenant in the front, knowing that at some point, obviously, once you own it, you can make your changes whenever you want. Ideally, I'd like to purchase additional properties and just deal with that one a little later, but we'll see what happens.
Awesome. I have so many questions for you. Okay, so when you bought the next ones, how did you purchase them?
Investment loan.
Okay.
So
you put
with
25% down on each one.
I'm trying to remember back then because the rules keep changing. I believe one of them I put 10%, the others were like 15% down.
Okay.
But yeah, so no, you don't have to do a full 20. Conventional investment is 20% down. Debt service is 15%, but it may have been 10 back then.
Okay.
I just
think they want
literally
like 25 now, but
for what,
for
conventional?
debt service.
No, debt service we're 15% down
Really?
with
All right,
5%
we're gonna
for
talk
closing.
after this.
So if y'all don't know, I quit my 9 to 5 to be a loan officer because I was referring too many people. So now, like, my goal is to just make sure people out there who are in position to purchase know how to spread their money the furthest that they can to get more doors and get more cash flow eventually. Right now is not really a cash flow market if you're buying the traditional route, unless you're getting it off market or, gift up equity and things of that nature. But obviously my goal is just to make sure people know all the loans that are available to them, because if I would have known sooner, we would have done way more a lot earlier.
So when you found so you sold the house, and then how fast did you buy the next 2, let's say?
I was trying to hurry up. Okay. So I purchased a cabin up in Arrowbear.
Okay.
I purchased that in 2020 while we were in the middle of selling the condo. I used different money for that.
Okay.
But then once we got the money from the sale of the condo, we were in contract. I think we closed in November of 2020. We were already in contract in December because, like I said, I wanted to make sure that the money didn't start disappearing. A lot of times people get large lump sums of money and then it just, they spend a little over here, a little over there, and then it's all gone and nothing happened. So that was a big fear of mine. We didn't end up going through with that duplex in Moreno Valley because the appraisal was off like 10 grand. Between the appraisal and the repairs, it was like a $10,000 argument. And
they wouldn't come down, and you didn't want to come up, and
it needed so much work.
Yeah.
I was going into it knowing
that's the roof, dude. Like, no.
No, it literally needed 2 roofs. It needed eaves. It needed plumbing, electrical. Like, it was a whole disaster. And I was just looking at my money like, okay, I only have this much. And if I buy this and then do all of that, it just limited how many properties I could buy. So we walked away from that one, sad, but did it anyway. And then that's how we ended up back in Lancaster and purchased those for $300. And I think I closed in April for $300, May for $305, and then November. These were all in 2021. November for $350.
Nice. So you wasted no time. You just within the next year of selling it, you bought all 3, and then did they? So you bought all 3, and then you used multiple different loans to get them all, and then you quit your job, or did you wait?
Yes. So we closed in November, and then my job had a vacation time frame at the end of the year. So they gave us 2 weeks in December, and I was like, all right, let me go try this loan officer thing. Because I was like, 100% commission. I don't know if I'm up for that. Like, I'm used to getting a check. It's guaranteed. It's safe. We have insurance. If I need to go to the doctor, whatever. So I was supposed to try it out. I had COVID. I was like, what happened? So the whole time, I'm like, dang, really? You just had to hit me with that right this second when I was supposed to go try something out during my vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to try it out later, but I never went back to my other job. Once I tried it out, I was like, all right, we're going to
You're
make
like, I
this
like it.
work.
Even with COVID, I like it.
I'm going to help people get these loans and build portfolios, people who look just like me, or anyone. It's just letting people know that you don't have to start with a whole lot. You just have to start.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a good line. Say that again to the camera.
No, just my goal was to let people know you don't have to start with a whole lot of money. You don't have to be a trust fund baby. You don't have to have a ton. I remember buying my first condo. We scraped together $6,500. That's how much we started with.
Is that like 3.5?
It was 3.5% of, and I think we had help with closing costs. So that's how we got into the first property that made me a couple $100,000. Like,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not the same numbers today, but it's equivalent.
Yeah, but I mean, the same thing, maybe not the same thing. I mean, it's obviously there's different variables, but I mean, it's the tale as old as time kind of thing that, how many of you listening or how many, grandkids, how many grandparents or people tell you, your aunts, your uncles, they're like, man, see that house over there? I could have bought that for $100,000 and now it's worth 500 or,
No,
you're driving
seriously.
through the neighborhood and it's like, and there's things that, we drove by 5 years ago or that we sold just 5 years ago, that flips that we did that we're looking at going, we barely made any money on. And, 5 years later, it's, the people are selling it for more than we made, kind of thing. And it's, I'm not saying that happens, forever, every single year over year, but, it kind of keeps happening. It seems like as the cycles go up, it's like it just, it like steps up to the next kind of thing. So, okay. So you bought all these single family. So I think that's really cool because there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of people that say, never sell. And, you took that and parlayed it into, now you had 3 properties. And did they all cash flow immediately or are they going to? Where did the ADU play come in?
And then the ADUs make it even better. The ADUs actually cover the mortgage.
Cool. So you did all of them already.
I did the 2 out of 3.
Okay.
So we still have that third property that's just a single family with a detached garage with a tenant in there. But
excellent. That's the third one. So from when you bought the first one, like how fast did you get an ADU finished?
We were working on that ADU while we were in escrow on the second one.
Nice. And you just converted the garage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't add additional square footage or anything.
Okay.
At this point.
Awesome. So, what did that process look like?
Well, definitely required a lot more than I was expecting, obviously.
Like just put a toilet in. It's fine.
Yeah, but with the plumbing, with no plumbing. So the plumbing is pretty expensive. And when we started plumbing on the first one, we realized we needed to actually do the plumbing on the front of the house too. So, we needed to update the plumbing in the front. I had a leak in the bathroom and then there was something wrong with the main line connection. Yeah, plumbing is always fun. I'd rather do anything other than plumbing. So,
that's why they get paid so much.
Right. So yeah, just going through that process, which was pretty interesting for sure. But all in all, I feel like everything's a learning lesson and it's worth it at the end of the day. Like I said, the cash from the rent in the back, because of when we bought and what the rates are, it covers the mortgage in the front. So my front tenants are essentially my cash flow that replaced my income.
Perfect. I mean, that's the multi-unit thing on single family is insane because
I like that better.
I
really wanted multis. That was just stuck in my head. I was like, I have to have a 3 or a 4plex. I want a multi. The numbers never made sense.
Yeah, the financing's different. The rules are different on tenancy. Everything's a lot more complicated. On single family, it's just, it's like you're just renting a house, but it's got multiple units sometimes. Even sometimes they're connected, sometimes they're not. But and then you can get low percentage down financing for it. So
Definitely. It made more sense. Like, that's why I always try to be coachable and partner myself with people who know more than me. That way, if my plan is not working out, they can give me an alternative. And the alternative solution was single families. And it made enough to do what the goal was, which was to quit.
Perfect. So did you finance with the ADU to finance the ADU? Did you borrow or did you
use cash?
Okay. So that made it a lot simpler than trying to get a second or line of credit or.
Yeah. A lot of people ask questions about that. I know there's somebody in the club. She said she got a unsecured loan for $250 to do hers through a company that normally finances pool builds.
Really?
And I was like, what's the site? And I'm looking it up like, okay, what's this? It was a pretty cool deal. But I mean, I guess that's where you just have to be creative and figure it out. If the property doesn't have enough equity, that's obviously what happens when you just purchased it. It's not going to have enough equity for a build. So that's where you either have to use equity from a different property or you can do a hard money loan as well based on the after repair value. So there's options out there. It's just all based on, people's risk tolerance.
Gotcha. That's a good point that there's tons of money out there.
You can find it.
All right. So my last question for those is like, did you buy like was there a certain buy box or are you just like single family garage done?
Single family detached garage. So that was my buy box because the third one we purchased came in. I offered more just to get it, but I really didn't want to pay the $350, right? So I was hoping the appraisal came in lower. The appraisal came in at $350, and at that time, my loan officer was like, "No, Tiffany, like I don't think that's a good buy." And I was like, "Why not?" She was like, "Because it came in higher. Like the comps don't support $350." So we literally sat on the phone for an hour and she's like, there has to be something else that works for you. Like there's more out there that would work. So we looked through and I'm like, no, there was literally nothing else. The house was already remodeled. The garage was detached. The lot is huge. I could probably build a whole nother 2 houses on it. And she was like, you know what? You're right. That's a good buy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was my buy box. Single family detached.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Do you think there's more opportunity still out there? Like, is there other
rare?
Rare? You think
rare.
It's okay? So it's kind of dried up a little bit on.
Yeah. We look a lot for single family detached. Okay. Yeah. I'm still trying to find something. I really want another cabin, but we'll see. But single family detached is pretty rare, and then depending on the year that they were built, because they started connecting them. I ideally don't like garages in the front because why would I want? I don't know. I just don't want to convert the front of the house. I just like them separate.
What? Just is that a personal thing, or is it like?
I think it's more of like a benefit to tenants. Like you're detached. It's like your own little casita or your own little house. It's kind of like having a lot with multiple houses on it versus being connected, similar to being in an apartment with shared walls or whatnot. So I don't know. Gotcha. I don't think it would make a huge difference, but that's just currently what our buy box is.
Nice. I'm gonna have to text them real quick to stop vacuuming.
You think it's gonna be really loud?
I can hear it.
I mean, I can hear it.
We have an event tonight. It's gonna be a cash flow game night.
So exciting.
And so we're getting the clubhouse back ready to put together. So if you hear some vacuuming in the background, that'd be why. So. All right, well, let's pivot a little bit. That's again, great job. I think there's a lot of people that, are maybe sitting on some equity and they're like,
of course.
I don't know if we should just sell it and put that into more or like what we should do with that. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there that will see that and be like, oh, well, maybe I'll do that.
I literally just talked to someone yesterday. She was like, should I pay off this property that only has a balance of $250? And I was like, why? Why would you pay it off? What's your thought on that?
To pay off something that only has a balance of $250?
To pay it off versus taking that $250, buying another couple of doors, depending on where they're located, and having multiple properties that would have equity continuing to build versus just that one paid off property building equity?
It really I personally wouldn't. But it depends on everybody's everybody has their own, everybody has their own what am I looking
Comfort
for?
level.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Like
that's
risk
what I thought.
tolerance, comfort level. Basically it depends, my mom, for example, they have a decent amount of equity in their primary that, they could probably go buy a few houses, or at least split it up like you did,
Yeah.
in different loans. And, but my mom is not like that. She's like, no, I want,
Safe.
I want the security there. Everything else, if everything else lights on fire, we can, we still
I've
have the
heard of
equity in
that
our
too.
house. So, and I respect that, so, I'm similar. There's a certain level, there's probably one house that I have that I don't touch. That's like a fallback.
Okay.
But if it was their,
It's their fallback house.
it is,
No, not fallback. I'm sorry. It's an inherited property. So they have a main primary home that they live in where the payment is fine. It's a property she inherited. And she was like, well, should I just pay that inherited property off? And I was like, personally, I always give what I would do and then let you know that it's okay if you're not comfortable taking that suggestion. Obviously, take all of it into consideration and figure out what you're most comfortable with, knowing that there is a potential to miss out on, some opportunities to build additional equity or cash flow.
yeah. I mean, I think it really just depends on the person.
Okay.
Generally, I think most investors would say I don't want any, I don't want any equity, or I don't, I want to there's certain people that leverage everything and then just to the teeth, and they're just, living by the seat of their pants, on payment. But, there's other people that don't want to have any type of equity, every dollar that's not out there working for you is seen in a negative light,
Right.
and some, circles or, whoever. It just depends on, I think it really just risk tolerance.
Okay.
So,
That's fair.
so in general, but, well, like I said, that's really cool. What made you want to be a mortgage broker?
I didn't.
What were you doing before?
I was an HR manager.
HR manager.
Yeah.
Okay. For big company, small company?
So I was with Target as an HR ETL, which is basically the HR for the store itself. And then based on my schedule there and the fact that my daughter was still really young, the work-life balance was not really nice. Loved my job, but didn't like the work-life balance piece. So I went to a nonprofit who promised a better work-life balance, but they didn't really mean it. They were like,
Did they give you a all family line?
We are going to support you. You'll be happy here. And then when I was ready to go off of that 9 to 5 schedule that they promised, they were like, you're leaving already? And I was like, yes, I'm going to make dinner and go to gymnastics or birthday parties or whatever. Yep. I knew I had to get out of there. I just didn't know where. Real estate was always something of interest. I love doing remodels. I'm an HGTV fanatic. I watch it like nobody's business, but I just couldn't figure out where exactly my place was. And once I built the portfolio, I'm like, you know what? You're right. I continuously talk to people about, why do you still rent and why haven't you purchased? And look at your income, make your income work for you. Leverage that. And because I kept referring so many people to her, she was like, why don't you do this yourself? And I was like, really? That's what happened.
And she was a friend, or?
She was my loan officer.
Oh, sorry.
She had done my loans. She had done my loans while I was purchasing back to back to back. And then I kept sending her people. Because I'm like, no, this loan officer is amazing. She answers the phone. She answers your questions. Some people in this industry, they're not responsive or understanding of the process. There's a lot of realtors, even loan officers that don't own.
Well, hell, I referred my guy to a lot of people, but, I don't want to be him.
Well, I had to find something. I wasn't ready to just leave my job. Yes, I replaced the income, but I wasn't ready to just sit at home and do nothing.
That's fair. That's fair.
And because I talked about it, it's if I talk about it all the time, I might as well make money off of it.
And are you how does one just become a loan broker? Is it there's a school, or?
You do the course. It was a 20-hour course. I knocked that out in like 2.5 days, just sitting at the computer going like all in because I don't like school. I graduated from college in 3.5 years. I just don't like school.
Nice.
So I try to hurry up and do everything. I did it in 2.5 days, and then I studied and took the test, and that's it.
Nice.
I mean, you do your background and things like that, but it's not super difficult.
And so, sorry, I'm just trying to keep the date straight. So when was that, 2021?
That was 2021. I think I took my test like September, October, something like that.
Okay.
Right around the time I was buying that last property. Took the test. I passed in November. I think they gave me my license like in January of the following year. The beginning of the year I got my license, and it's been going ever since.
Oh, and so, do you like it?
I love it.
Yeah, awesome.
I love it. It gets a little crazy
I'm sure.
sometimes.
I'm sure. So, like, what? So you've been doing it, about a year and a half?
Yep.
Okay. And do you work for a certain, like, did you independent or?
So I'm under a broker.
Okay.
So I work for a broker shop. We're a direct lender. We correspond. We also have like traditional financing options for, first time home buyers or repeat home buyers. We have non-traditional financing, which is mostly what I use now, and what my investors use and things like that. So it just depends on what people are looking for, but we have just about everything. 6 months in, I was in a position to buy a house using a bank statement loan. So like last July, 2022, I bought a house. That's how I ended up in the IE.
Oh, okay. Is that no, that wasn't that Bear one.
No.
That was a different one.
No, now I'm out here. I moved from the South Bay to the IE.
Okay.
Off of being a loan officer.
Nice. So you can be your own loan broker? Like you write your own loan, or how does that work?
No, just the income that I had generated from being a loan officer. Because I self-brand and because I'm always sharing like my story with people and showing them like, hey, regular folks can do this and be owners and build portfolios. Like that really worked, and I got a lot of traction. So I was able to make enough to be able to purchase a home.
You got proof in the pudding. I mean, you can literally say like, look.
Yeah. I was like, I can show you better than I can tell you. And
Nice.
if you follow the plan, you can do it too.
Awesome. So for investors, you said non-traditional. What does that mean?
Non-traditional is like, I believe you said it earlier, like you paid taxes, right? So you show all your income, you pay Uncle Sam, and then you're able to qualify for like the traditional FHA and conventional type of loans. Now, on the flip side, for business owners, or I've helped like Instagram influencers and things like that, they may not show the same type of income on their tax return. So in most cases, you would think, wow, I can't purchase, but that's not true. So my most popular for folks like that is going to be a bank statement loan, which is what I use to purchase my home as well. And they solely go off of the deposits you put in your account, and the cost of running your business is deducted as an expense. Other than that, you qualify that way. Obviously, it's a little higher down payment, a little higher interest rate, but it's worth it at the end of the day. Like, I'm really, really happy I bought my house. The rate I had was high when I bought it, but now traditional financing is higher than the rate I have. So I'm like, hey, I'm good.
Yeah, and I want to hold. I mean, it's not like you're quoting me rates or anything, but like what is that percentage now for like a bank statement loan?
Yeah, I just ran one
versus-
today. Traditional. So I locked someone the other day at 7.25% on FHA. Today I
7.25%.
quoted,
Okay.
yeah,
On a bank statement?
No, that was FHA,
Oh, sorry.
7.25%,
Okay.
and then bank statement I quoted someone 8.5% today. So it's not a
It's
huge.
not that bad. I mean, over 30 years it's a bit huge, but
Well, yeah, it is. It's huge.
You know.
But then imagine waiting the 2 years to purchase. And remember, they said when rates go down, purchase price will go up. So you're going to pay it either in your purchase price or in your interest. Obviously, if you do it now, you can refi when rates go down. But for me and everyone else that I've helped purchase, a lot of my realtors use that loan too. I'm just like, get in. And everyone I've talked to thus far is super happy with their decision to buy at the time that they did, even when we all felt like the rates were high. Now that regular rates are really high, it's like, oh, yeah, get this bank statement loan. This is perfect.
yeah, and who knows? I mean, it could be higher we could still be saying that today's high is like, oh, well, remember when it was only 8?
Oh,
Hopefully
if it goes
not.
to 13, I hope we're not saying that. I really wanted to get back to 5. If it gets back to 5, I will save $1,800 a month.
Yeah.
On my mortgage.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
I was like, please get to 5. I don't know when, because FHA and all the other ones are so high, but one day.
So that was one example. Bank statement. So bank statements is it still like a DTI, debt to income ratio?
It's like 50%.
Okay.
So it's actually the highest.
Interesting. So, and it's only for business, or is it just like they look at your business balance sheet or balance sheets?
No. You can use personal or bank statements for your business account. So business or personal bank statements are both considered.
Can you buy one under your personal and one under your business?
I mean, you would just need to qualify for both purchases.
Nice. My wheels are turning.
But you can blend it. I know we can talk. Look, we can talk about it. No, like seriously. Okay, backing up. Before I got back into the workplace, my husband's an entrepreneur. So from 2010, remember the crash was 08. All right, we bought the condo in 09. So from 2010 to about the end of 14, we were self-employed, both of us, making really good money. Had I known, and I don't even know if a bank statement was around. Okay, so
I think they paused them for a long time.
It probably wasn't around, but I'm sure it came back at some point because the market corrected itself eventually. And I'm like, dang, how many houses could I have bought whenever that came back at that time had I known someone who had creative financing options?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, we all think that.
And we literally couldn't do it because
okay.
I just didn't know. So that's why I'm like really big on letting people know about all the other stuff.
I'm talking about it. Yeah. Are there any other non-conventional things that people would probably like to know about?
Asset depreciation is another one. Have you heard of that?
No, not in a loan sense.
Okay. So true. Asset depreciation is something we write off on our taxes as investors in general to, depreciate the repairs that are going to take place at the property. But in a loan sense, asset depreciation is, let's say you had someone unfortunately pass and you got a large lump sum of insurance money and maybe you don't have a job or your job doesn't pay a lot. We can average out the amount of income you have and qualify that as income for you to purchase a home. I've had that with people who have like annuities or they've had lawsuit settlements or lottery winnings or anything like that. Anything where you've come into a large lump sum of money. Like even if, somebody passed and multiple people were on the property and you sold it and you walk away with your portion of the money. So, I mean, it's definitely something to explore. That's a good one.
And it's not something that's like, you sold a bunch of stocks or anything that you could already had a trail from. It's like unexpected or
I mean, it doesn't have to be unexpected. It's just if you have, you can use stocks too.
Yeah. Gambling winnings.
That's a gray area. I don't know.
Oh, I'm just saying.
I mean, if it ends up in your bank account
and you hit it big and you come back and you're like, I don't, because you said lottery, I thought.
I mean, that's true. When you say gambling, I forget about Vegas. I thought about that. The other kind of gambling. Okay. Yeah, no. I mean, it's definitely something to look into because I have run across a number of people who have a significant amount of income, but not income, savings or money in a financial institution, not in the mattress or cookie jar or anything like that. But that's one. Debt service, which I know we touched on a little bit, is one that I always recommend for my investors just because it's a lot easier to qualify for it. It's a 1-1 ratio on the rent versus mortgage. So as long as the rent covers the mortgage 100%, you're good to go. 15% down is the minimum.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love that one.
15%. Okay. So
15% down.
Thank you. You reminded me of something we touched on earlier that I was like, wait, I got more questions about that. Okay. So, everyone that I've looked at so far is either 20 or some are saying 25.
You're not talking to the right person.
I guess not. So is 15% like that's?
I've closed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything special to get 15 or?
No. I mean, you want to make sure that you have the right
like,
credit score, but obviously the lower the credit, the more the down payment. And once you cross over to that 5th unit, so that works for 1 to 4. Once you get into 5 to 8, it is 25% down.
That would be why I guess I'm at 25.
Where are you finding those 5 to 8 unit at?
You mean like, wait, as in it's your
As
fifth
in
to
the
eight
multi.
unit?
No.
Oh, no. Okay, sorry.
You can have as many finance as you want. It's if you're buying a
haven't. No.
fiveplex, a
I'm good.
sixplex. I don't even know what those
I'm
are
good.
called.
No, I stop at 4.
Yeah, so if it's a 1 to 4, 15%.
Okay. All right. And one of the other things I've heard about DSCR too, well, I've looked into it a couple times. I feel like the rents that the appraiser gives, because they go by appraised rents, not market. I mean, maybe I'm wrong on this, so
It depends.
stop me if I'm wrong. But
Is the property that you had appraised, for example, was it occupied or vacant?
when I did the loan, or like before?
When you went through the loan process, was it occupied?
No, I don't think so.
So when they're not occupied, they give you a little bit less, and your loan to value has to be lower.
Okay.
So usually, and this is why I don't like multi-units again. See? Because if it's a single family house, you go off of market rent or you get a tenant in there, which usually isn't that tough. Like I had somebody in Atlanta, property was vacant. I'm like congested. Sorry.
It's the vacuum.
Property. I'm like, I can't breathe. So property was vacant. I think they gave her rent at like $2,900. She ended up securing a tenant at $3,200. So we could go off of that.
Okay. But, and again, I've heard differently. So I think that's cool because it makes sense to me that if I have a rent, like let's say I buy a house, okay, and I bought it cash or used hard money or whatever. And this is a live scenario at the moment. So I used hard money to buy it and rehab it. And my plan would be to
get your money back.
But I want to put like we can get into the specifics, but like I got a 6-month minimum on the money. So, and it's going to take me probably 2 to 3 months to rehab it. So,
okay. So when are you going to be done?
Probably in the next 6 weeks. And then I'm going to put a tenant in probably within a month after that. And so I'll have, I don't have to refi at 6 months. I can use the money for up to like a year and a half. But I don't really want to pay.
Is it interest only?
Yeah, and it's high. So
yeah, you don't want to do interest only. So if you can get out, you get out.
Yeah. I don't mind the 6 months because I'm not making any payments during this initial 6 months. So, I am, but I don't have to actually write the check.
It was already
which is
included
nice.
in the
loan. So either way, but if I can get out at the end of that 6 months and refi, but I've been told, or from what I read and been told that, there'd be you bought it for 90,
Oh, you're talking about that one.
Like and then you're going to try and refi for 300 less than 6 months later.
You have to keep it for 6 months.
At least 6 months.
Because when you purchase it low, they'll refi you out the cash you bought it for. Because I have people that go to auction and they buy them low and then they fix them. But I'm like, we just need to wait 6 months and have your tenant, and then we can go off of the ARV. And
the 6 months that the tenant has to be in there also? Or?
No, the 6 months from when it recorded.
Okay.
That you purchased. So like in some states, they're really slow at recording. I think my client bought in January. They didn't record it till like February or March.
Wow.
I know. It was irritating. But
there's no way I could be that patient.
Right. And in that case, we were able to go up to 70% loan to value for her cash out. But it was still smarter for us to do it then because the rates had kind of dropped at the time that we refied her. And if she would have waited the extra time to get a little bit more money out, I got an exception to get her an extra 5%. But she was really trying to shoot for a little bit more.
And so like if they, let's say, bought it for 90, I'm putting 100 in, let's say. Let's just call it 200 for argument's sake. We're all in for 200. And let's say I can rent it for $2,000 a month. And I want to, then I can be able to, So I can rent it for $2,000 a month. And I should be able to sell it. The ARV should be 300,000 all day.
But are you going to keep it?
Yeah, I'd like to keep it.
Okay.
So, I don't want to I don't even really need to cash out. I would like to get my cash back out.
Right.
But I don't need to turn a profit on the cash out. If I can, sure. But is that allowed? Like, do they let you do that?
Yeah. So after the 6 months, you can definitely get a mortgage up to the amount that you've rented it for, which is the $2,000 a month.
Okay, so whatever that $2,000 a month.
As
would
long
cover
as
on
it
a
doesn't
mortgage
exceed
payment.
the loan to value of 70 to 75%.
Okay, that makes more sense that way.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right on, because this is the first time I've ever done it. The other way I've always bought them was just traditional,
Yeah.
just regular conventional and FHA and all that. And I just
Well,
stacked
this is a
those.
fun new
So,
one.
It is.
I always like the new
is.
stuff. It's a little bit like you have to kind of go through it and navigate through there and ask all the questions, but it's always worth learning something new.
Absolutely. So that's it on the investor side of things. Let's talk on maybe, people that aren't homeowners.
Yeah.
If they've stumbled across this and they're interested in real estate, what does that look like on their side? Like, what are the options? What is the best option right now? Because I know that's always changing with PMIs and incentives and whatever out there.
For sure. I mean, I always run both scenarios for people. Like, if you're a first-time home buyer, I say look at conventional, look at FHA. It really depends on where your credit falls and where your debt-to-income ratio is. Student loans is always a big one. That usually pushes me back to FHA. So FHA is going to have 3.5% down. It's a lower interest rate compared to conventional, but it does give you more flexibility on the debt to income ratio. So you're able to have a little bit more on the monthly expenses and your overall expenses than you would on conventional. So it's really case by case. More times than not, when people come to me, I run both scenarios and then I tell them, like, this will probably be a better fit for what you're trying to do. But yeah, I mean, I always say get started.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
have to get started.
Absolutely. And what is the lowest that conventional goes? 5%?
5 what?
5%?
Percent down?
Yeah.
3%.
Conventional goes to 3%.
Conventional is 3% if you
Wow.
have not owned a home in the last 3 years. And when I say
Wow.
owned a
Wow.
home, like if your mom put you on title, you technically own a home.
Oh, that's important.
So make sure you're not on title for anything if you want to qualify as a first-time home buyer.
What if you move it into a trust that you don't technically?
But are you on the loan?
Oh, yeah, true.
Because if you're
True.
on the loan, it's going to come up when we run credit, and then that's not a first-time home buyer. So there are times
Interesting.
where I'm like, dang it, I'm so sorry they put you on there. They should have just put you in the trust as a beneficiary. And it
then
was
the next step up on conventionals is 5.
Yeah. So on the secondary purchase, like if you buy another house, then yes, it's 5%. Or if
There's
you
not a
own
5% primary conventional anymore.
well, not secondary home. I'm sorry. It's still for a primary, but I'm saying like if you've purchased a home and been on title within the last 3 years, you can't do conventional 3% down. You would have to do conventional 5% down.
Okay.
Additionally, if you bought an FHA house, then yes, your second house that you buy to move into, like your step up house, would be 5% down with conventional.
Okay. Any other loans
Yeah.
out there that people should know about?
Well, now that I'm in the IE, USDA loans
Oh, yeah.
are more
Yeah.
popular.
I haven't seen. I was just talking to somebody the other day. I was like, we used to see a lot of USDA loans on our flips because we do a lot. Well, what is a
Out
USDA
here.
loan?
Okay.
Let's do that.
It's
and then
a
I'll come back to
rural
that.
area loan. So if you're purchasing somewhere where you see a lot of land, usually, or some cows or some chickens or horses or something, it's not always animals, but usually, look, out here by me, it was, and I went to Mixed Lunch the other day and I saw the drive-in egg stores.
Yes.
I was like, what? I'm like, these
Chino.
have to qualify
Yep,
for
Chino.
USDA
Yep.
loans. They have chickens and they're selling eggs out the backyard.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, USDA is usually a rural area loan with no money down. They have lower credit score requirements. And yeah, it's a really good option for a first-time home buyer if they're willing to live a little further outside of the city, usually an hour outside of a major city.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. And this was because I'd never heard of this until we started flipping houses years ago, and we kept getting people applying either VA or the USDA. And what's really cool about the USDA, isn't it a lower down payment?
No down payment.
It's no down payment.
So
Zero.
it's similar to VA. VA is no money down. You have to obviously be a veteran. You could be active or retired military, and then it could be your spouse or surviving spouse. But USDA is like the same thing. No money down. You just can't be in the city.
Yeah. But correct me if I'm wrong, though, is a lot of I forget the actual, but there's more than areas you think that are rural.
You just have to run it on the eligibility map. So
Yeah.
the USDA website has an eligibility map. If you want to see If a property qualifies, you literally just type the address in. If it qualifies for it, then yeah, you can go for it. I know it's getting a little tougher out here to find them just because there's starting to be so much development happening, especially in the IE, but they are very much still around. So
yeah, and if it's an incorporated city, then it's pretty much out. But like if it's county areas, it's really the county areas. So like you have these pockets of county areas that are in, and a lot of times they show up that you can use the USDA. That's why we flip a lot up in Crestline in the mountains, and it's all unincorporated mountain communities.
Does all of that qualify for
yes,
USDA?
Yeah, they're all
so close
USDA.
Together. But there's bears up there. I told y'all there's animals. There's bears and deers and raccoons and stuff.
I've never, I've only heard about bears.
Really?
I've only seen them on people's
We have a bear
Facebook
in our neighborhood.
Stuff. No, I've never seen a bear. I've been up there 3 years now. Well, I've been working up there for like 6 years.
You're in Crestline, so
I've been people have them on their cameras that they post on, in my
we have
Facebook
a bear
group.
in our neighborhood named Biscuit.
Biscuit?
Yeah. She's a year and a half. And the last time we were up there, I was walking around with my neighbor, and she was like, yeah, because this bear is running around, and they named her Biscuit, and she's sleeping in somebody's yard, blah, blah, blah. So we're doing our walk. I get back to the house. We're going to check out a property. I want to, make my second vacation home because we need a larger one. Lo and behold, we're driving down to go to this other house to walk it with the contractor, and Biscuit runs in front of the truck. I'm like,
Dang.
that bear. I'm trying to get my phone out. It didn't work, y'all. I couldn't even get the phone open in time. Biscuit was gone. We tried to find her. And
Sounds like a
her
likely
radioactive collar is messed up, so they can't even get her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They tried to tag her? Gotcha.
She's already tagged. You can see it on her ear, but her collar's messed up, so she keeps coming down. And they can't move her back out because by the time
somebody shows up, she's gone.
Yeah,
sounds like
she's
Bigfoot.
a quick one.
It's very fitting.
I was just like, this is crazy. We have a bear, y'all. I don't know how you haven't seen the bear.
No, I live in there's people posting them all. We have those like neighborhood Facebook groups that, everybody talks crap on their neighbors and there's always a post every once in a while about a bear. I've still never seen one. I see a lot of squirrels and a fox. No, I've seen a lot of squirrels and skunks and raccoons. That's it. I've seen one deer in the entire time that I've lived in Crestline.
And that's crazy because you're there year round.
I've never seen a bear.
My neighbor got chased in the house. I don't know if it was a fox or a coyote. I don't know. She got chased in the house by something. Now I got to ask her.
Yeah, my mom's got a cabin on the other side of the mountain that or town, I guess.
What city?
That it's still Crestline, but she's on like the other side that's a little bit but she's this like big lot that's kind of like on the side of the forest, and she's had some coyotes walk across the backyard. I don't think she's seen a bear yet.
It's so cool though. I mean, it's scary at the same time because I was like, what would I do if I was
mountain
walking?
lion or something one time, and I was like, ooh. So
okay, I'm scared of those.
Yeah. So, but hey, 0% down loans.
I mean, you better get it. If that's what you qualify for, you know what? If people work remote and they don't qualify for a 10, like go buy the house wherever you can buy the house. And that's where you could end up, Crestline's still close enough to be a commuter city anyway. But even if you wanted to go further in, I'm like, work remote from wherever, like buy the house wherever. Some areas are going to build equity faster than others. The mountains had a huge surge in equity. Obviously, during COVID, that's kind of, I don't know, weird now, but
It's dropped back a little bit, but
it's still higher.
It's dropped back. Yes, it's definitely. I mean, it pulled back a little bit, but it's still higher than it was.
A lot higher.
5 years ago. So,
get in somewhere.
And for you flippers out there too, just a heads up on taking USDA and VA offers, they get a little bit more in depth on the inspections and the appraisals
And the termite.
Yep. So just keep that in mind. We don't care. Like we just if it's all things are equal and they're but sometimes you're like, oh, I didn't know that. So,
termite unpermitted spaces. And,
yeah, they get really
like that.
Really in depth. So, but those are all great programs. I mean, I think if I would have known about that back then, I would have gone into the military for a few years. But
I mean, you could even be
VA
like
stuff.
in the reserves.
Jeez, man, VA the benefits they get are
with
especially
VA
homeownership.
too.
Wow,
VA has no mortgage insurance. They have really flexible credit, lower rates on their loans. And if you are 100% disabled, most counties will take your property taxes off. You don't even pay it.
Wow.
I'm just like, I
And
found
they're
that
assumable.
out.
They're assumable in the language of the loan, which I've yet to capitalize on as an investor. But I feel like I need to like get some marketing together. Like, so if you're a veteran out there and you need to move, give me a call because I'll assume your loan.
I have a client that might sell in Fontana
Oh, there you go.
that has a VA loan with us. So
Yeah, well,
I'll
are you
keep you posted.
buying it or
No. It's
not?
outside of my purchase price.
does the payment work in renting it out? And
Well, the payment works for sure. What are you talking about? Seller finance?
yeah, well, no, it's sub
I haven't
two.
done that.
Well, it's not a sub two because you're. So here's the interesting thing with VA loans for investors is if you're talking to somebody about going sub two like purchasing their house subject to their existing mortgage, which is where you would have to pay. Maybe you give it a homeowner who's like got a little bit of equity, but by the time they sell, and pay agent fees and and everything else, like they're gonna have to pay to get out of their house. Like what little equity they have is just not doable. On a traditional
make
sale.
sense.
But so you would come in and say, I could give you, all right, well, instead of paying $10,000 to get out of your house, I'll give you $10,000 to get out of your house, and I'll take over the payment. So
That
the
makes
loan
sense.
stays in their name. But the property goes to you and you make the payments and blah, blah, blah. And they could take it. There's a lot more to this, but they could take it back if you ever stopped. But, in a VA, anybody that has a VA loan, sorry, let me back up 1 second. The reason that you do a subject to is because of the due on sale clause that because the mortgages are not assumable. You'd have to like go to the bank and get them to be convinced that you're going to make the payment and you're going to actually assume this loan. So
Yeah, you
you're
have to
gonna get the
qualify
loan.
for the assumable.
Exactly.
part.
And most banks are going to tell you no. So you do subject to get around that. But on a VA loan, if anybody had a VA loan, it's written into the VA loan docs that it's assumable. So, and I think that's, as far as I understand it, it's because, military people have to move around a lot.
Often.
So they wanted it to make it easy if anybody needed to get out of their loan, they'd have multiple options to get out of their loan. It's just, they don't really talk about it all that much. So, so if you were in that situation where you bought something on a VA loan and then, and they have other relocation programs for the military. It's not like,
Of course.
but if you wanted to, you were in a situation where like it just didn't make sense to sell, or because there wasn't enough equity to cover, or maybe you were just going to have to pay money to get out of your house, even though, the government's going to help you, whatever
Yeah.
reason people have. If you are on a VA loan, you can, that loan is assumable in the paperwork of the loan. You don't have to fight the bank. You don't have to do anything. It's already in the contract. So if you ever have anybody that's in that type of situation and they have a VA loan, they can basically sign the loan over to you.
So then I need to look into, I don't know. I got to figure out the paperwork piece. But yeah, that's definitely a good thought. And I'll bring that up to him and see what his thoughts are on that.
Let me know how it goes.
Well, I need to know how the paperwork goes.
We've
So
done it.
I
We've
have
done it.
more
We did one.
questions.
We did one in Apple Valley a couple
Okay.
years ago. So
Okay.
it does work. It's a little bit of a process. I mean, there's a lot of demands and back and forth, between the lender and all that, but it is doable. It does work.
Okay.
So
That's why I'm a part of the club. I need to learn all these tips and tricks.
absolutely. So with that, we are at the end here. So Tiffany, if people wanted to get a hold of you,
Yeah.
how would they do that?
Really, guys, I'm active on Instagram. My handle is Tiffany the Lender. Also, you can email me at info@tiffanysthelender.com. But Instagram is where you'll find me the most.
Awesome. Well, it's been great having you on the show. A very enlightening conversation. I'm glad you were able to, like I said, that's very impressive that you're able to, parlay one house into multiple ones and
Thank
really, get out of the rat race.
Yeah,
So, and
thank
you're
you
here
for
to
having
play
me.
cash flow tonight, right?
I'm excited.
So we're gonna go get out of the rat race in the board game here. So we do cash flow every once in a while here on the Inland Empire. You can check us out at iereic.org. And thanks for joining us. This has been a great episode of FIREchat. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.